Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 20th day of March 2023. Can you believe that? Um, Today is Monday, 20th of March 2023. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're safe and healthy. Your family also had a good weekend, that all you guys were safe and healthy out there. Dangerous world we live in. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are trying to save lives. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets, sidewalks, parks, wrecks clean and disease free. And those that make deliveries of important things like food and water, along with mail for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of pornography and child pornography, prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, double curses on all the profiteers, and all of those perverts that create this heinous industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and mostly children on the streets of the United States, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, the Minnesota Timberwolves are in town tonight to play a basketball game against our New York Knicks. Now, 2 weeks ago, there was a trap game. This is a trap game. And it's not like, when I say a trap game, it's not as classic a trap game as you would have, because the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually in the play-in race right now. They are tied for for the ninth seed in the West. They're half game behind Oklahoma City. By the way, me personally, I'm pulling for Oklahoma City to make the play-in. I just like their team. I like their scrap. I like how they roll. I like their youth, and so I've been pulling for them. Outside the Knicks, I've been pulling for the Thunder, and so I watched the game last night where they beat the Suns. Beautiful game. They were down the whole game and came back. But anyway, Minnesota is a half game behind them. Minnesota is in the ninth spot, tied with the Lakers for the ninth spot in the West. If the playoffs were to start right now, it'd be Golden State playing Oklahoma City for the right to be the seventh seed, and then the loser of that game will play the winner of Minnesota, Los Angeles for the right to be the eighth seed, if it was going to go right now. So that's the way it is. The Golden State Warriors, on another side note, have been missing a very key piece in Mitchell Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins. I remember his father. Andrew Wiggins. They've been missing Andrew Wiggins on personal matters, not injury related, but something personal with his family. They haven't said whether he can come back. He was the key piece to me to get them over the top the last time they won the chip. They had, of course, Draymond. They got Klay Thompson. They got, of course, the great Stephen Curry. But it was Wiggins' addition, his maturity as a basketball player. Always had the talent, but that caused them to get over the top. So they're missing him, and that's hurting them a lot. So I don't know when he'll be back. He's not hurt physically, but he's got some personal issue. They're not letting information out as to what it is with Andrew Wiggins, but is what it is. But anyway, Minnesota is going to be playing for something tonight. So it's not a trap game in that sense, but it's a trap game in that they are 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. And again, they're playing for the play-in. The Knicks, on the other hand, are solidly, they're 2.5 games ahead of Brooklyn with the Knicks in the fifth seed in the East. Solidly fifth. It looks like the Knicks are going to remain in the fifth seed. There's 10 more games to go, but the way the teams are playing right now, unless there's some major injury, there's no trades that's going to happen right now. Unless there's major injury or somebody returning from a major injury or returning from injury, like say with Phoenix and Kevin Durant, you're not going to really see much change in what you got right now. What teams, the way they're playing right now is the way they're going to play. The Knicks happen to be playing their best basketball of the season, as we anticipated coming into the season. That Tom Thibodeau teams generally play their best basketball second half of the season, and that's what's going on. The Knicks plus minus differential is 2.9, fifth best in the East, and they're just running. They playing ball right now. They had lost 3 in a row, as we know. In the last game, as I mentioned, trap game, and that's why I mentioned it, because they had lost 3 in a row earlier, 2 weeks ago. And the reason they did was because they lost Jalen Brunson. And it took Tom 3 games to figure out he got to reach in his pocket and pull out his deuce card. When he did that, they won 3 straight. As simple as that. And so they did that. And the third game was Jalen Brunson coming back, but against the Lakers and against Portland, he pulled out his deuce card. In other words, he played deuce 15 plus minutes, and that caused second unit to rise up and be who they can be without Quickly in it. And so now that Brunson come back, you got Quickly back in the second unit, and they still going to be dynamite, right? So that was the last trap game, and that was the game, and it was a trap game also because they lost to Charlotte. But to be quite honest and fair about it, the Knicks had just played a double overtime game 2 days before that in Boston and beat Boston 131-129 in double OT. And so they were playing, Quickly played 50 minutes or some craziness that game. So that's, they were tired. I'm not giving an excuse, but they were. And so they played good against Charlotte, but they were beat. They were tired. And so Charlotte was able to take advantage and beat the Knicks at the Garden 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday. Now we're back. The Knicks are rested, having that rest last week. Brunson is healthy. We're ready to go. So the Knicks should be in a good position to play. Minnesota is going to be tough. Minnesota has Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards has played in every game this year. Started every game for Minnesota. He hurt his ankle. I think it was last Friday. He hurt his ankle in the game, so he had to leave the game early. But he's questionable for tonight. So he's a tough kid. This Anthony Edwards, along with being supremely talented, he's a tough kid. So he's going to be back. You got Gobert playing. They got a nice, solid, and I mean solid point guard. Not a superstar, but a very solid, very veteran point guard in Mike Conley. They traded D'Lo, as we know, to the Lakers, but they are a very solid team. Like I said, they're missing, though, for them, big piece that they're missing is Cat. Cat's been out with calf issues. They expect him back in the coming weeks, they said, so I assume he'll be back for the play-in. But for right now, they start Conley, Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, who's a nice young player. That he's part of the McDaniels brothers. The other one was on Charlotte. And this one is the better one, though he's the younger one, but he's better. Kyle Anderson, who's a longtime Knick killer from when he was on Memphis. And then Rudy Gobert, we know, the multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. So this is not going to be an easy game. They're going to look to use the Madison Square Garden venue as their come up in. They're going to try to show out under the lights of the Garden. But I think the Knicks are ready. Conley is really good defensively. Like I said, solid. But Jalen Brunson's in his prime. Jalen Brunson is better. Okay, right now, period. End of story. Anthony Edwards is going to be Anthony Edwards. He's going to do his thing in the Garden. He's going to get his average. Anthony Edwards averaged like 25 a game. In fact, let's take a look at that. Anthony average is 25 a game. Anthony Edwards is 25 a game. He's going to get his 25. You're not going to stop him from doing that. Okay, unless his ankle is really hurt and he can't perform. But he's that type of player, young player. He's going to get his 25. The key thing is you want to make it difficult for him to get his 25. You want to make it difficult for him to get to the spots that he likes to shoot from. That's going to be on Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes guards the other team's best offensive wing or guard, depending on who it is. In this case, is Anthony Edwards, and you're going to see Quentin Grimes guarding him. Rudy Gobert, every time now that Mitch Robinson gets to go against Rudy Gobert, Mitch Rob has a chip on his shoulder. And you want Mitch Rob to have a chip on his shoulder. I thought the Beast would come out last weekend, and he did against Denver, and it's going to be the same thing against Rudy Gobert. And I like the matchup with Mitchell Robinson and Rudy Gobert better than the matchup with Mitch Rob and Joker, because Gobert don't shoot threes. Okay, so Mitch Rob just has to battle with him in position on the paint. I like that. I like that game right there. So. And Gobert better be able to run, because Mitch Rob will run the floor, catch that lob, and flush it on you. So will Gobert, but Mitch Rob's up for this one. So I like that. McDaniels is another guy. He's played 69 games. Most of their games he's played, he only missed like 2 or 3 games. Solid kid, very talented kid. He averages 12 points a game for them. But he also has went off against the Knicks in the past. So we got Jalen Noel, another Nick killer, but he's out. He's not playing. I don't know what's going on. He was coming off their bench. Then I mentioned Kyle Anderson, who's like, he moves like a sloth. The animal sloth, he moves real slow and everything he does, but he gets to his spots and he hits his spots. That's Kyle Anderson. Then Nickel Alexander Walker, another solid piece. Torian Prince, another solid piece. They got a pretty good team. They got a pretty good team. They're missing Cat. That's one of their main superstars with Anthony Edwards and Gobert. But they traded a lot to go get Gobert. They gave up a lot to get Gobert, and it's not worked out the way you would expect for the assets and the draft capital. That's why, brethren, you don't just go after people because they got names. Donovan Mitchell, and you start throwing all your assets at them. Because if it don't work out, it looks like this. You pay to be at least top 6 in the West, and now you're battling for the play-in. Okay? You don't want that. So every time when somebody puts out, go get this guy, go get the guy, and you think in NBA 2K just add him and put his rating in the roster and it's going to be that way, it don't work like that. Okay? And that's why general managers get fired. That's why presidents of basketball operations get fired. That's why coaches get fired. Because they make moves like this, they give away the store, and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to turn out. Okay, so be careful when you start throwing names out there about people we're supposed to get, just because they rating on NBA 2K is high, or because Stephen A. Smith is yelling and running his mouth. This is box office and we gotta do it. No, it's gotta fit. Okay, so far the Knicks have been pretty good at making things fit. Okay, especially making it fit the style that Thibodeau wants. And that's what you got to do when you're the front office. You got to make sure that you and the coach are on the same page. The coach has a style. You hired him understanding he has a style, and you want players to fit his system. The Knicks used to make this mistake in the past, and the most glaring one that I remember was Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni, with all his faults, he's an offensive genius, okay, in my opinion. And he's always shown himself to be an offensive coach. Okay, his team scored a lot of points, but you need a point guard to run his system. You need a point guard to run his system. The Knicks did not provide him with that when he first came to the Knicks. Finally, they got what was this kid's name from North Carolina? I forgot his name, but they got a kid to do it for half a season. Then they traded him. Okay, Ray oh God, I forgot his name, but Raymond Felton, that's him. They had in D'Antoni's system, Felton, who was really a solid NBA point guard, not a star by any means, but he was playing all-star level in D'Antoni's system. Then to get Carmelo, they traded Raymond Felton. They had no point guard really, and then they get this dude, Lynn Sanity, Jeremy Lin, who was really a scrap heap, but just goes to show you the system that D'Antoni ran was point guard dependent. See, so you want to make sure if you're front office and you're hiring a coach, whoever coach you're hiring, you want to get the personnel that fits that coach's system. Okay, Tibbs has a system. He needs reliable players. He needs players that can defend, rebound. He likes that. Okay, he wants to be able to run. Okay, he wants to be able to shoot the three. These are things you got to make sure you add in there. Okay, so with Thibodeau, he's getting with the Don, and they're coming together, and they're getting players that fit the system. Your Josh Harts of the world, your Julius Randles of the world, your R.J. Barretts, your Quentin Grimeses, your Deuce McBrides and IQs. They're getting what fits Tibbs' system, what he wants, and with the Don, he's getting them cheap. He gets IQ and Grimes at the back end of the first rounds in both, because he gets Deuce in the second round. Okay, they getting guys that fit, and they're getting them cheap. Nobody on the Knicks makes $200 million. Whereas on the Chicago Bulls, you got DeRozan getting about $100 million over 3 seasons, $90 million, something like that. And you got a $200 million Levine, and they battling at the bottom of the play-in. Okay, see what I'm saying? So the Knicks are doing it right. So for tonight's game, we're ready to go. We're healthy. We got to be on point, be ready to go. Because the Knicks right now, as you know, if you're following the Knicks, they're 42-30. 12 games before 500. But not only that, what we didn't mention, what most people haven't mentioned, is they have now guaranteed themselves a winning season. The worst they could be is 42 and 40. That's the worst they can be. And they have to lose all 10 of their last games to be 42 and 40. Okay? Which ain't going to happen. More than likely, they will end up 6 and 4. I'm saying 6 and 4 over the last 10. And that'll make them 48 wins. Okay? 6 and 4 over the last 10. Because even if they win several games in a row, I can't see them not resting some guys the couple of games before the playoffs just to make sure you're ready for the playoffs. Now you're talking about a different season. But if they're battling for the fourth seed, they might, play all the way through. But I'm thinking now, initially this season, as you know, I said the minimum they would win is 45. They're going to get there. Now I've upped it to 47, 48, which I believe they're going to get there as well. So I'm trying to be conservative. I've always been that way from the beginning of the season. I just couldn't believe people were talking about 37 wins, and some people were talking about lottery, and some people were talking about tanking. I'm glad those fools ain't coming to my channel no more, because that was just straight crazy. But anyway, now we seeing they gonna get at least 47 wins coming up in these next. They need to go 5 and 5 over the next 10 to end up with 47 wins. 6 and 4 would get them 48 wins. If they actually go 8 and 2, they get 50. Hey, that'd be nice to get 50 wins. I'm not gonna say, but I'm not gonna put that expectation, because what happens in Knicks Nation, you make an expectation like that. Then when they get 48, you're complaining like they did something wrong. Anyway, 47, 48 wins is solid. I think they're going to be able to do that. And, they'll be in the fifth seed unless Cleveland falters. Anything can happen. Right now, Cleveland got 2.5 game lead on the Knicks. Cleveland is good. I mean, it's going to be a real series between the Knicks and Cleveland. It's going to be a real series. It's going to be a war. If the playoff were to start today, Milwaukee would play Atlanta, Philly would play Miami, Boston would play Brooklyn, and Cleveland would play New York. Man, there will be some serious playoff basketball. So get ready, New York. Tonight, take care of business against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They'll then go 43 and 30. Okay. Miami beat who did they beat last night? They beat Detroit. Now you would expect them to beat Detroit. I actually watched the game until deep in the fourth quarter. Detroit was winning the game. See, this is the difference between a young team and a pro team. Detroit was winning the game. Most of the game, they were up. Then Miami kept coming back, and Detroit kept pushing back to 2 or 3, 4-point leads. Then Jimmy Butler did his thing. He just did his thing at the end. And then when they doubled Jimmy, he found Tyler Hero, who hadn't scored but 8 points the whole before that. Scored like 10 in the fourth or something like that, and that was that. So Miami is now 6 and 4 in their last 10. They are actually a game behind the Brooklyn Nets for the 6th seed, so that could change. But they are 4 games. They are 3.5 games behind the Knicks in the 5th seed. So we're in good shape in the 5th seed. But Miami and Brooklyn could change. Brooklyn has lost 3 straight. I don't expect that to continue. Who do they play tonight? I've been watching all of these games because I want to see what the seeding is going to be for the Knicks, coming into the playoffs. They got 2 home games in Brooklyn against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They got it going tomorrow at 7:30 and Thursday at 7:30 in Brooklyn. That's weird. Both of them in Brooklyn. So let's assume Brooklyn could get a split here. If Brooklyn can win these 2 games, that's going to help the Knicks get the 4th seed. But realistically, though, Cleveland is too good. I don't think they're going to lose 2 in Brooklyn. Okay, I just don't. That's not going to happen. So let's see if they can get a split in Brooklyn, and then we'll see what happens. And then after that, on Saturday night, Brooklyn plays Miami. This is going to be very interesting. I'm going to the game with some homies on Thursday with my nephew and some other homies on Thursday to see the Knicks play Orlando. That's another trap game for real. But tonight, and that's also a back-to-back, the Knicks play Miami this coming Wednesday. Then Thursday night, they're in Orlando. So this is going to be, a little bit of a minefield here. So they need this win tonight against Minnesota to go 43 and 30 and solidify that 5th seed, which I'm pretty confident they can do. I'm kind of excited to watch the Knicks tonight because I don't want nobody to get hurt, but I'm excited to see this matchup. I'm excited to see the Knicks, who are now clicking on all cylinders with Josh Hart. Josh Hart, they gave up a number 1. to get Josh Hart, right? I think it's well worth it. That was worth number one pick. They gave up Cam Reddish, a couple of other pieces, and the number one to get Josh Hart. And it's worth it. Because as you can see, he has transformed Mom Deep. And I'm, like I said, I'm Deuce High. But I got to give it to Josh Hart. He's in his prime, age 28, playing the best ball of his career, and he's playing in the role that he's built to play for. He's not built to be a starter. Anybody thinking Josh Hart's a starter, no, he's not a starter. But he is built to be a leader on a Mobb Deep, and he's playing in his best role, playing his best basketball in his prime. We got him at the right time. Just like 2 years ago when we got D Rose, this was even better right here. So I'm excited to see them play tonight. I want to see, them do their thing. I want to see them rolling on all cylinders at the Garden to play Minnesota. Yeah, let's get this done, y'all. So enjoy the rest of your day. Let's enjoy the game tonight. We'll discuss it tomorrow. So